Hi, beautiful people. If you're seeing me for the first time, my name is Mercedes and I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a business coach and I'm a product manager. Now, on this channel, I help women just like yourself to start and build and scale their businesses from the comfort of their homes. And that is why I'm so excited about today's topic, because I just feel like I have a lot of entrepreneurs, especially women, on this channel that I talk to every week. And I just feel like it's out of place, is unfair if I do not bring this topic to us here. So we need to deep dive into this particular topic because it concerns you. Even if you are doing your business from your house, even if you, whatever kind of business that you're doing, even if your business is online, this topic concerns all of us. So I want us to discuss. This is going to be very, very interactive. So do well to drop a comment at any point of this video that you feel like you need to ask a question or you need to chip in. Please, on this topic, I'm not a professional. I'm just a business owner just like you, and I'm an entrepreneur just like you. So we are actually going to be learning from one another, but I'm going to be sharing most of the things that I know personally so far and what I have done with my own business to protect my own business going forward. So that's what I'm going to be unpacking. I'm sure you've already seen the topic from thumbnail and the title below this video. Before we start, I need you to know I'm going to be looking down at my computer. This is my notes that I have drafted out. Now, I don't want to forget key things. Remember, I am not a finance person. I am not an accountant. I am not a tax consultant. I am a business owner. I am an entrepreneur. So I am coming from the business owner's perspective to share this with all of us. All right, let's dive into this. So we've all heard about the new tax law in Nigeria, and what is coming is starting on the 1st of January 2026. And if you haven't, well, this is your first notification. So Nigeria has implemented a new tax law that is going to take effect from the 1st of January 2026. And so as a business owner, as an entrepreneur that is earning money, that is making money from Nigeria, you actually need to be prepared. So even if you don't reside in Nigeria, like I know some people do their businesses from US, Canada, UK, but you are doing that business in Nigeria, any kind of business at all, you are also going to be affected. So this has nothing to do with, oh, I live in Nigeria or I don't live in Nigeria. No, every one of us is going to be affected as long as you make money and you earn money in Nigeria or from Nigeria. Okay, so what is changing and why is it changing? Now, the new tax regime, the Nigerian Tax Act 2025, it will unify multiple tax laws and streamline things for businesses. So the key changes are going to be higher thresholds for small companies, new levies, modified tax rates, and more stringent filing or registration rules. So for small businesses, this means both opportunities and new responsibilities. Don't worry, I'm going to break everything down in this video the way I understand it best. So this shows that as a small business owner, you're going to be affected. So this new tax law, this new tax regime is not going to only affect big companies, big businesses. No, it's not only for the Dangotes and the UAC Foods and the Nestle. No, whether you are a big business, you are a medium business, you are a small business, even if you are smaller than small business. I hope you know that small businesses in Nigeria, when we say small businesses, I know we tend to misunderstand this. but small businesses actually mean that you are making up to 20 million naira in a year. So if you are not making up to 20 million naira in a year, you are not up to the level to be called a small business owner. You actually maybe fall under micro. Yeah, they are the micro businesses. So the good thing with this new tax law is that your taxation is going to be progressive. So what this means is that you who is earning smaller is not going to be paying the same amount of tax with somebody who is earning more money, who is making more money in their business. Do you get? The constitution has now, this new tax law has now separated businesses into small business and big business. The laws that govern you who registered your business as a business name, that's business name registration, which is sole proprietorship. The laws governing them is not the same laws that are governing somebody who opened their own business, who registered their business with CAC, which is Corporate Affairs Commission of Nigeria. So if you registered as a company, which means you did limited liability registration with CAC, your taxation is different. Okay, your taxation is different. So you're not going to be paying the same with somebody who did the business name registration. Now, what is the difference? The difference now is that the government, of course, you know that as a sole proprietor, which is what the business name registration represents, you're telling the government that you, Mercedes Njoku, registering my business as a business name, even though my business name registration carries calendar integrated services, it now means that I am still saying that I am one and the same with my business. So the government still recognizes you and your business as one, which is even normal with sole proprietorship. Because let's say, for instance, you get into an issue in your business, okay, as the business owner or as the business itself. If you get into an issue and somebody wants to sue you to court, if that business was registered as a business name, they are suing Calendar Integrated Services and they are suing you, Mercedes Njoku, in that lawsuit. I'm using lawsuit as an example just to illustrate to you to understand what I mean by you being the same person as a business name. If they sue you and the customer or whoever is suing you wins that court case, it means that everything that is owned by your business is still seen as you, Mercedes Njoku. Everything seen as Mercedes Njoku is still you, Calendar Integrated Services. So if you got into trouble and somebody happened to sue you as a business name, you can now come and say, I don't have money. Every asset owned by Mercedes Njoku, the law sees it as Mercedes Njoku and Calendar Integrated Services one. So if your business does not have enough money to pay up whatever damages that you were made to pay from that lawsuit, Mercedes Njoku as a person is going to pay because your business is one with you. Whereas as a company registration, which is the limited liability registration LLC with the CAC, when you do that registration, if you happen to get into a lawsuit, okay, the government is going to see that Mercedes Njoku and Calendar Integrated are two different entities. Your business has a life of its own and you have a life of your own. So if what you declare to the government cannot afford to pay up whatever damages, they would look at it that, okay, in future, the company is going to pay for it. But they won't go and collect that money from Mercedes Njoku because we are two different entities. We have separated ourselves by the law through the CAC registration. So it's the same thing that is going to come into this taxation now. As a business name registration, It is progressive, yes. Business name, the government has said that individuals are going to pay what is called the personal income tax, PIT. Now, this personal income tax is the same tax that a business name is going to pay on their taxation. So me as a business name, it is progressive. The government has said that from 0 naira to 800,000 naira, it is tax free. So if your business is making 800,000 naira in a year and below, you are not going to pay tax. But if your business is from 800,001 naira to 1.2 million naira, you are going to pay in a year. And you know that a lot of businesses make more than this even in a month. That you're not going to pay 15%. Do you understand? It is progressive. You're not going to pay 15%. That means that they will now subtract the 1.2 million naira. They will subtract 1.2 million naira minus 800,000 naira, and that's 400,000 naira. Out of that 400,000 naira now is what you are now going to pay your 15% tax on. And so on and so forth till they get to the 25% that is the cap on personal income tax. Of course, there are certain reliefs that you can deduct when it comes to this, like you're allowed to deduct your rent up to 500,000 naira or 20% of the income. You're allowed to take off your expenses and all of that. So imagine that you are on a business name registration and your business is making up to 50 million naira in a year. It means that the government is just going to subtract the first 800,000 naira, which means that you're now left with 49,200,000 naira. You will now deduct your rent, and that rent is 20% or a maximum of 500,000 naira. So let's go with the maximum. You now reduce 500,000 naira from 49.2 million naira. You now come down to 48.7 million naira, right? You come down to 48.7 million naira. The government is now going to allow you to deduct other expenses from your business, and whatever it is that is now your profit, they will now tax on it. That is for business name. Whereas if you are registered as a limited liability company, LLC, if you're registered as a company with CAC, it is not the same way. You're not going to be paying personal income tax from your business money. You're going to be paying that personal income tax from your salary earned as the business owner. So if I am earning 100,000 naira, my business pays me a salary of 100,000 naira every month. It means that at the end of the year, I would have declared a total of 1.2 million naira as my earned salary from that business. They will take out the first 800,000 and I will now take out my rent relief, and then I will now be taxed on a smaller amount. Meanwhile, the business on its own, because it is registered as a company, it earned 50 million naira. Now that 50 million naira, the government is not going to tax that. The government is going to tax you, they said, starting from 100 million naira turnover. 100, please correct me if I'm wrong. I know some people have said it is 50 million naira. It was previously 50 million naira turnover. But the government has said 100 million naira if you are a company, LLC, that your taxation is going to, your company income tax is going to be on if your business is making from 100 million naira turnover in a year. So it means that if you're making 50 million naira in a year, you're not going to be paying company income tax. If you are making 80 million naira in a year, you're not going to be. If you're making 99.9 million naira in a year, you're not going to be paying company income tax. Now, by the time you now cross and get to 100 million naira in a year, that company income tax is now going to deduct all of your expenses. So it's going to deduct all of your salaries. It's not going to, because I mean, turnover is your revenue. It comprises of a whole lot of things. So they can't tax you on that whole 100 million naira. You're going to be allowed. That is why you need to document everything. You're going to be allowed to deduct your expenses. Your expenses includes your rent. It includes your salaries to your staff. It includes, including yourself, you're also a staff of your business. It includes cost of raw materials if you are in production, cost of acquiring goods if you are a trader, transportation, logistics, light bill, fuel, everything that it costs you to run that business. You're going to, that is why you need to actually keep your receipt, keep your records. Receipt doesn't need to be only physical. Even your bank, this thing, you need to actually be, if you are fond of not putting description when you're doing transfers, you need to start doing it, because you're going to deduct everything. If you bought machinery for your business, for your production, it's going to be deducted. If you, everything that you spent, expenses, you pay for Canva Pro to be able to edit your videos, it is part of your expenses. You pay for Instagram verification, it is part of your expenses. You provide lunch, feeding for your staff, it is part of your expenses. All of that is going to be taken into account. Then you now declare your profit. It is now, if you now declare that now your profit is now 10 million naira, 5 million naira, 1 million naira, that is what is going to be taxed. I hope I'm making sense so far. Now, it now brings me to the reason why it is now better for you to register your business as a company, as an LLC, because the benefit supersedes being a business name. As a business name, you will end up, especially if you're already making money in the likes of 15 million naira a year, 20 million naira, 10 million naira, you're going to end up spending more on taxation than somebody who registered as, if you are still making, like, let me say 2 million naira in a full year from your business, you can just maintain your business name registration. And even if you now say, oh, I don't want to, I've not even registered my business before formally, I've not registered my business as a formal business in Nigeria, I'm still operating with my personal bank account, it's still the same thing. They are still going to charge you as personal income tax. So you're still going to be losing. So if you know that from that business, you are making up to 10 million naira in a year, 15 million naira, my own advice is that you should go and change that registration to a limited liability company registration, because it's going to save you money. Now, there are some good news. The first good news is that if your company's turnover is 100 million naira or less, and your fixed assets, those fixed assets are let me use me, who is into production now. So my fixed assets are my machines I use for roasting groundnuts, machines I use for pressing our oil, machines I use for producing our peanut butter. All those are called fixed assets. Also, if you have a property in your business, if you own the property and you have a fixed asset of under 250 million naira, then you qualify as a small company, and that means that you get exempt from certain taxes such as company income tax, which is the CIT. Now, the next one is that informal business owners, which are the micro businesses that I talked about earlier, which means that your turnover in a year is quite really small. So informal businesses, those are like market women, people that are just selling pure water people. Now, and I want to believe like bus drivers, taxi drivers. I'm not talking about the Uber ones, the normal general ones. They are also exempt from tax, from what I understood from the summary I read online. So they are exempt because they are considered to be micro businesses. And the new tax law does not want to burden those that are earning little. That is why it is even progressive in nature. So if you're earning this amount, 15%, 20%, 25%, so it's supposed to tax people who earn more and exempt those who earn less from paying tax. So those are some good news. So let's say if you're just doing Zobo around your neighborhood, doesn't mean that you're going to pay tax. So it means that you are exempt. That's part of the good news. Now, the next good news is that if you are in agribusiness, okay, if you are in agriculture, any form of agribusiness, it means that your business is VAT exempt for life. So VAT that we pay for, that's like value added tax. This agribusiness, sadly, it doesn't include like restaurants. It doesn't include like cooked food and all that. So if you're in agribusiness, like you produce food, like those that are farming, if you are a farmer, because the government is trying to encourage more people to get into agribusiness so that the country can have more food in store to be able to serve its citizens. They are trying to encourage more people into agribusiness. So VAT exempt for life. For life, you're not paying VAT, even though that VAT is usually the end user that pays for it. So like if I was supposed to charge VAT, if I'm a restaurant owner now and then you walk into my restaurant to eat, when I'm presenting your bill to you, I'm going to include a 7.5% VAT on it. I think that math is like if your bill came to like 100,000 naira, then 7.5% of that is 7,500 naira. So I will not charge you 17,500. So it's actually the consumer that pays for that VAT, and then the business owner is supposed to remit it at the end of the month to the government. It's not burdening agribusinesses with VAT, because we don't want people that want to buy food products, that want to buy like corn, yam, to now be paying VAT again. It's like so much. The consumers have already paid their own personal income tax, so so that it doesn't look like double taxation. Do you understand? So they are exempt from VAT. But another good news, if you are in agribusiness, is that agribusiness, not just food production like farming, if you are in food processing like myself, so you process raw foods, package them, sell them in stores, or sell them anyhow you want to sell them. Do you know that if your company, if you're registered as a company, which is LLC, for the first 5 years, you are exempt from CIT, company income tax. So even if you are doing 100 million naira in a year, even if you're doing 200 million naira in a year, the government has said that as long as your agribusiness, for the first 5 years of existence as a company, as an LLC, that you are exempt from CIT. That is what it says, that you are exempt from CIT for the first 5 years. Opened a company, LLC registration, which now dates October 2025 as the registration. So it means that from October 2025 till October 2030, even if I make 1 billion naira, I am CIT free, because I am an agribusiness and I am less than 5 years old as a company. Do you understand that? So these are some of the good things that you can expect from this new tax. So this should give you an idea if it is good for you to go and upgrade from your business name, if it is good for you to just go and do a fresh registration as a company, if it is good for you to keep operating your personal bank account for your business, if it is good for you to go and formally register your business. Other VAT relief also include essential goods and services like healthcare, like education and food. So in education, if you're in school, if you're a student, you're paying your children's school fees, whether it's primary, secondary, university. For education, they are not supposed to include VAT for you. For healthcare, when you're seeking healthcare, they are not supposed to include VAT for you because these are essential services, so they are not paying VAT on it. Some things that you should watch out for with this new tax regime. There are things that you need to watch out for, and some of those things is that you need to keep in mind that even if you are earning 500,000 in a year, which I sincerely hope that you are not, 5 million naira in a year turnover, that you are small today does not mean that you're going to be small tomorrow. So you need to put this at the back of your mind when making the decision if you want to stay as a business name or if you want to upgrade or do a fresh registration for company. You need to keep that in mind. I'm small today does not mean I'm going to be small tomorrow. So you need to keep that at the back of your mind. Growth can push you. You need to also keep in mind about your filing and your registration requirements. So I can't really speak to people in other sectors. I'm in agribusiness, so that's why I had much more information about being CIT free for the first 5 years of your company registration and all that. But I mean, it is worth researching for your industry. Every video that I have seen concerning these tax laws, I have watched them both on Instagram, on YouTube. I just need as much information as I can get so that I can equip myself better, because it was also based on information that I had that made me to make certain decisions that are going to be beneficial for my business. You need to also remember that you need to file. You need to file. You need to get your tax IDs. This is a unified taxation and everything is linked now. So your BVN, your bank account, your company, everything is now linked. The next is capital gains tax, which is the CGT. So the rate for CGT for companies has been increased from 10% to 30%. So this means that if you sell shares or assets in your company, you're going to face higher taxation. You know, I don't sell shares in my company. So this affects people like Fidelity Bank. Fidelity Bank has sold shares. I think recently, last year or early this year, GT Bank also sold shares. That's what they are talking about. So if you sell shares in your company, like public offers, you know, the CGT has increased from 10% to 30%. And then the new development levy for companies, except small companies, are also going to are expected to apply. Okay, they're expected to apply. What should you do at this point? I'm rounding up this video. I don't want it to be too long. What should you do at this point? You need to talk to your accountant. You need to talk to your tax consultant as well. So some questions that you need to ask is our business turnover under the new small company threshold? What fixed assets do we currently hold? You know, what asset ceilings apply to us? You know, are we compliant with registration and TIN requirements? If we grow and exceed exemption limits, what will our tax liability be? How will we treat VAT, CGT, and the new development levy in our business plan? You just need to arm yourself with information. You don't need to be afraid. Information is very, very vital and crucial at this point. So, ladies, do not be afraid. Fear not. So, Talk to your accountant today and arm yourself. The best time to prepare is now. You don't wait to prepare in January for what is coming in January. That is just poor planning. We're about to enter November now, and trust me, it looks like we have 2 months, but it's best for you to tidy up things, especially in November, before we get into the new year where this applies, so that you get into the new year fully prepared, fully armed, and ready to swing it for your business. And I wish your business growth. Please do not wish your business stunted growth because you want to avoid taxation. I wish your business growth, and I want every one of us to grow. And I want you to stay tuned on this channel. Share this with as many business women as you know. Everybody needs to be prepared, and I'll see you on the next one.